Walk the Line movie review. So everyone knows about this movie, right? This is the biopic about the life of Johnny Cash. I guess we'll start off just briefly by talking about Johnny Cash, which is, I don't really know that much about Johnny Cash. I do remember kind of being in high school and college in the 90s, and people who were cool knew about Johnny Cash. Like, he had that aura about him. You could earn coolness points by talking about Johnny Cash or having Johnny Cash albums in your collection. But like, I never remember anyone actually playing him in the college dorms, or like I never remember going into a party and hearing Johnny Cash. But he had kind of this legend or this mystique about him. I think some of this was kind of helped by he had been called like the Godfather of Grunge, or he had put out an album with 9 Inch Nails or something like that. This is another thing I really should have researched better before I started taping the video. Anyways, point being, I never knew a lot about him, but he had a certain mystique, and I was kind of fascinated by it. Interesting thing I picked up in this biopic, it shows him kind of touring around with Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis in the 1950s. They were on kind of the same tour circuit. And you think, I guess during the 1950s, assuming this biopic is accurate, they were all kind of at the same level, which seems weird to think about now because they're all perceived so differently, right? I mean, Elvis is definitely legendary. I mean, say what you want about Elvis. He's an American legend, but he's a different kind of legend. Like, he's very kind of mainstream, kind of... He doesn't have a mystery around him like Johnny Cash does. Or did. I mean, I don't know, actually. Again, I went to college in the 90s. This movie came out in the 2000s. I wonder if this movie has kind of demystified Johnny Cash a little bit for the next generation. I don't know, though. I'm completely out of touch. I'm living over in Vietnam at the moment, so I don't know what is cool in the American college dormitories anymore at all. Anyways, I saw this biopic, and it was interesting. I was a little bit disappointed by how like other biopics it was. For example, I had just seen Ray the previous year. Ray being the biopic of Ray Charles. And so many of the plot points from both movies were pretty much exactly the same. So both Ray Charles and Johnny Cash are haunted by the death of a brother in childhood. Both struggle against the odds to become hit musicians. Both get mixed up in drugs and have tumultuous love lives. Both get busted by the police at one point for their drugs. Both eventually get cleaned up with the help from their women. Woman. With the help from their woman. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here. I mean, it could be that maybe the lives of rock stars are just similar. And so it's not really Hollywood's fault. Or it could be that Hollywood is just taking these stories and feeding them through like this cookie cutter machine to make them all seem the same. Somebody who is better informed on rock history than I am, music history than I am, will have to be kind of the judge of how much of this is just kind of the natural story and how much of this is Hollywood kind of rearranging the story. But yeah, there are some scenes here that just seemed a little bit cliche. Like the husband and wife shouting in the kitchen and then the wife starts crying. That's got to be in just about every single biopic I've seen. So it does feel like they're trying to kind of hit the kind of standard cliche notes. Still, all in all, pretty entertaining. I feel like I learned something about Johnny Cash's life. I'd give it a recommendation.